All right, so this unit, I'm calling Unit 2, Classes and Objects 2, Electric Boogaloo. We are going to be revisiting all of the topics we covered in that unit, just in a little bit more depth. So today we are discussing access specifiers. So anytime we build a class or any of the pieces that go inside of a class, like the constructors, methods, instance variables, any of that, we all need to give all of them an access specifier. So in our rectangle class that we worked with a lot last semester, we've got our public class rectangle, private int width, private int height, public rectangle, it's our constructor. You can see we have public, private, and public again. So those are our access specifiers. And last semester, I told you we're going to use these. We don't need to know what they do just yet. Today is when we learn what they are useful for. So access specifiers are used to determine whether classes, instance variables, constructors, and methods are accessible from outside of the declaring class. And the two that we've been working with, public and private, those are the most prevalent, those are the most used ones. There are others, we're not going to cover them right now, but they do exist. So let's to talk about public and private. Anything that's declared as having public access can be accessed from any class, including the declaring class. It's accessible publicly, it's available everywhere, everything can touch it. If a thing is declared as having private access, it can only be accessed from within its declaring class. It cannot be directly interacted with from outside of the class. So if I have my rectangle class, this is my declaring class, from my program.java, if I wanted to create something from the rectangle class, anything that's public, so the class itself, any instance variables, any methods, any constructors written in the rectangle class are fully accessible from my program.java. Anything that is private, usually we're going to have our instance variables be private. Any methods, any constructors that we have private in our rectangle class can be used within here, but they cannot be directly accessed from my program.java or any other class. So let's talk about public access. Whenever we create a class or constructor, we're usually going to want to designate those as being public so that we can actually use those things outside of that class's file. We're actually not allowed to designate classes as private. If I try to say private class rectangle, I'm going to get an error saying, hey, you're not allowed to use private here. Classes need to be public. Now, if I try to make my class public, but then my constructor be private, I'm going to get an error again saying, hey, that constructor, rectangle int, has private access within that class. You aren't allowed to access that constructor, which means we're not going to be able to instantiate any of our objects. So if we want to create objects in other class files, we need to have our constructors also be public so that everyone has access to them. For private access, we're going to give that to instance variables, constructors, and methods that we don't want to be able to be interacted with from other classes. And doing this is going to allow us to manage how complex our classes are. We're going to control how users are able to interact with our objects. And we're going to hide any implementation details that aren't necessary for them to understand. They don't need to know all of the nitty-gritty of how the class works. They just need to know what goes into it. And this process of hiding implementation details is called encapsulation. And it's one of the primary tenets, is one of the pillars of object-oriented programming, which Java is built around. Abstraction is another pillar of object-oriented programming. We learned about abstraction a bit last semester. And abstraction is going to be about hiding how the class works where encapsulation is going to hide the internal state of the object rather than how it works. It's going to just hide stuff about it rather than the way that it works. I realize I've not stopped for questions. Any questions so far? Does all make sense? Cool. All right. Instance variables are almost always going to be designated as private. And this is going to ensure that external classes won't be able to change them into a state that might cause an error in our code. So if we happen to mark an instance variable as public, we can access it very similarly to how we're accessing methods within that class. So for example, an instance variable that is public in a class we've been working with is pi in the math class, where you can access math.pi. This isn't a method, so we don't need any parentheses after it. This is just the value of a variable. So we can say math.pi to access that very accurate value for pi. So we make our instance variables private to avoid things like this happening. So if I have my public class student, and I have 3 instance variables, eyes, hair color, and eye color, and make all of them public. I've got my constructor, string H and string E, H for hair color, E for eye color. We're going to set our eyes equal to 2. If our hair color is brown or blonde, we're going to set that equal to our hair color value. Otherwise, we're going to say it's black. If it's not brown or blonde, the hair is black. I know that there are more colors than that, but I didn't have enough space. And then we're going to say their eye color is equal to whatever they set. Now, since those are public, I can create my my new student with brown and blue, brown hair, blue eyes. That all sounds good. But then I can say s.eyes equals 100. I can just change the instance variable. And I don't know about you, but I don't know of any students who have 100 eyes. That's a bit unnatural. And our s.hair color equals cat. Once again, I don't think cat is a color. And if we want to restrict our colors to brown and blonde, or I suppose also black, we shouldn't allow users to do this. So since those instance variables are public, the user in another class can change them to whatever value they want. They're not restricted by whatever restrictions we want to have in place. So if we make those private, this action becomes illegal, which is really desirable. We don't want users to have free reign access to our instance variables because they can do wacky things like this. So in order to actually let other classes interact with our private instance variables, we need to implement some public methods to interact with them. So these methods are called accessor and mutator methods, also called getters and setters. So accessors and getters, those are how we're going to get access to, it's how we're going to get the value of our instance variables, our private instance variables, and our mutators or our setters are how we're going to change the values within our instance variables. And we're going to go more in depth on those two types of methods later in this unit. Now, when we are building classes, we as programmers need to choose whether the data we are including in our class should be accessible, modifiable, both, or neither. It's a beautiful annotation you've got there. In every case here, our instance variables should be defined as private. We don't want to have our instance variables be public, mostly because of that issue we saw earlier. Users can change to however they want. And so in each scenario, different methods should be implemented in our class. So if we want our data to be accessible, we should implement accessor or getter methods for our instance variables. If we want our data to be modifiable, we should implement mutator or setter methods. if we want it to be both accessible and modifiable, we want accessor and mutator methods, or getter and setter methods. And if we want it to be neither accessible nor modifiable, we implement no methods to interact with it from outside of the class. We would only make use of that data from inside of the class's methods. So for example, in our rectangle class, we might have our width and height. The user might not need to be able to change the values of those or access them individually. We can simply use those values in our getArea method, for example. And then it doesn't matter if the user has access to those variables in particular. Does that make sense so far? Cool. All right. So if we have a savings account, let's say we have some savings account class. We've got the date. This is the date that it was opened. We've got our account total. It's how much money is in the account. And we have the interest date. So it's when interest gets collected. And we've got our constructor depositing money. So we're going to set our account total equal to that deposit. And then we're going to say that the date, the open date, is equal to a new date. We're going to say today is the day we opened our savings account. So what kind of methods might we want to add to this class that we would want the user to have access to? What kinds of things should a savings account be able to do that the user will be able to interact with?
It should be both accessible and modifiable.
So what within the class should be accessible and modifiable?
Oh, like how much money they have?
How much money they have. They should be able to withdraw. They should be able to deposit money. So account total should be both accessible and modifiable. Should they be able to change the date that they started?
No.
No, it doesn't make sense for them to be able to change when they open the account. So we should be able to withdraw money, deposit money. And let's say we want to just let them know how much money they have. So we're going to make accessible and modifiable that value. So we can modify it positively or negatively, like we would with a bank account. We could have this be one method. We could have it just be change account balance with a positive or negative money value. But I feel like deposit and withdraw makes a little bit more sense here. So what are some things that we might want to build into the class that the user won't need access to? What about adding interest? Every so often with a savings account, you're going to want to add interest to the account. That's just how savings accounts work. But if the user had access to the add interest method, they could just say, hey, I want to add interest, and interest forever. And that's not really how banks work. That's not going to be allowed. So that's some functionality that we should be building into our class, but the user doesn't need to have access to it. And we also, something else we could do is find how long the account has been open. The user doesn't really need to know that information. They can if they want to, but they don't need to be able to call that method. And just because a method is set to private doesn't mean we don't trust the user. All it means is that they don't need to be able to access those methods in order for the class to work as we want it to. All right, does that all make sense, everyone? All right, then